Game of Thrones finale. Epic finish or epic shit? Wasn't that clever? And this kind of just looks like a kimono, but it's very soft. Game of Thrones finale spoilers ahead. First off, people ask, hey, it's just a TV show. Why are you so upset about it? I gave this TV show the best years of my life. I went hard in the paint. I was on the front line telling people they should be watching this shit. Just arguing. When they would throw a show at me. Let's get to the finale and what was wrong with it. This isn't gonna be some technical Easter egg breakdown of this shit. We're gonna get to the nitty gritty. What I thought about it. Leading up, everybody, I'm not breaking new ground when I say the writing was terrible for this season. I sat there battling the long night episode. It was a great battle. Everybody kept arguing. What happens next? Where do we go from here? They're saying it was over. And I kept sticking up for you, Game of Thrones writers, showrunners, whatever you want to call yourselves. I kept fighting for you. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. I think the season started off great. I didn't mind the first couple episodes, real blue balls the second episode, but I thought the long night delivered. And at that moment, it was a little weird. I was like, where do we go from here? I think the season peaked with the long night episode. I thought it was dope. I liked that Arya was the one that killed him. It was just great. But I was like, how do we top that? But we already know all of this. Let's get to the final episode. I lied. The episode before the finale. I even thought they're making it way too obvious that they're trying to turn her into the Mad Queen. There's gonna be a crazy misdirection and bam, we just didn't see it coming. Dude, they like sprinkled the most obvious breadcrumbs. Like, this is where we're going with this. And they made it too simple. I was like, okay, someone's asleep at the wheel. It feels like the writers just quit this season. Like, I think they were just like, fuck it, we're done. And then they saw some dude with a pen and they were like, hey, you must know how to write. You got a pen in your hand. Finish the greatest show of all time. And I was sticking up for them a lot because I give them credit. It's hard to finish things. Giggity. It's hard to actually wrap up the story with a nice little bow. It's easy to kind of make these cool, like, you know, storylines and everything. Just keep extending them and going on this one, that one. But then when you got to put that bow on top, it's the hardest part of the show. You can't rush through it, just try to wrap it up. You gotta put some effort into it. I feel like they didn't. We got to the finale. My issue with the episode before the finale was like, oh, we just killed Jaime and Cersei. We're not even gonna give them anything. You're just like, your story arc was just like, bam, you're dead. So when the episode started with Tyrion, who is just a master detective, he was able to just move 3 bricks and see both their faces. I don't know if there was a time warp, but he magically just boop, 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 3, and they were all shown. But anyway, that's besides the point. I gave them that. I was like, okay, this episode's not bad. We're actually, you know, it's pulling some emotion. I don't mind where this is going. They're gonna save this right now, you know? Since the ship had sailed on Khaleesi being good, I was like, okay, they're really leaning into the Mad Queen. I kind of like it now. It's kind of showing that she's going full bore, and now we're gonna have this war between Khaleesi and Sansa in the north, and we're gonna have this epic episode. Real quick, what was the point of showing Arya with the fucking white horse? Like, oh, behold the pale horse. I get that, but that was it. Why was she even in the episode? Didn't make any sense. A lot of shit didn't make sense. Jon has that talk with Tyrion, you know, what must be done. And then Jon just like walks past the dragon. The dragon just lets Jon in as if he's a bouncer, and Jon just has a fake ID. He's just like, all right, you're cool. Just lets him go in there. Like, you don't think it might be a little weird? And then where the fuck is Grey Worm at this point? Grey Worm just became fucking master of war, and he's like, I'm gonna take a break for a little while. No, you go ahead, Jon. Even though you've been looking at me weird this entire time, you go talk to the queen one-on-one. Cool. Yeah, do that. Jon made out with her aggressively, very aggressively, really went for it, and then just kills her. And it was over like that. It was just, all right, she's dead now. And then Drogon just fucking flames the chair, which I think, here's my own little plot twist, I think Drogon was being controlled by Bronn, and it was Bronn's way of being like, yo, I'm gonna torch the chair. So when everybody's picking a new king, they're like, well, we're gonna need a king that has their own chair. And he's gonna be like, just so happens, I live in a chair. I'm your guy, you know? So that was my fan theory about it. And here's a deeper point. I know I'm getting off topic. I think that everybody who is so into Game of Thrones, we did this to ourselves. We really did. When you start going down fan theory rabbit holes, it makes the story so much cooler. You're like, oh my God, this is so-and-so, and this could be it, and this is why threw a feather. You know, something weird like that. You just make up your own theories, and it sounds so dope that you make these connections. And I wonder if the writers were influenced by that. Like they were like, they still felt the need, like their ego was like, you know what, I gotta surprise them. And the only way they could surprise people was by shitting all over the show. They were like, you know what, we're gonna really fucking surprise everybody with this ending, and we're just gonna fucking ruin it. Yeah, it's gonna be fucking epic. Yeah. Because that's what they did. That's what they did. I will give them this though. The cinematography, that was the nicest polished turd I've ever seen in my life. Just fucking beautiful cinematography. Some of the shots, and obviously that scene with Khaleesi when she's like, Rah! And she just has the dragon wings behind her. She didn't make that sound, but that was an epic shot. It just all felt very simple to me. You know, Jon killed Khaleesi. Drogon just comes up there. Jon's taking way too long with her. Like, obviously, Jon just put her body in the corner of the room, cover it up a little bit, get the fuck out of there. And one thing that irks me, there's no consistency. Grey Worm was on a rampage. He was killing everybody. He didn't give a shit. He was killing men who had surrendered just because they served Cersei. But not Jon, who was like, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do will be used against you in the court of law. You have a right to an attorney. You know, like he was like, you're gonna face a judicial system. Like all of a sudden you're just fucking a cop. Doesn't make any sense. So then there's a weird time warp where I'm like, what? Why are they all there already? What just happened? Bran just says the fucking cockiest shit. I wouldn't have made this trip if I wasn't gonna fucking do it. Why the fuck do you think I rolled all the way here? Relax, Bran, okay? This whole seeing the future thing is getting a little old, all right? I'm getting a little sick of these weird stares. If Bran was one of my friends and he was like talking the way he talked and then would just stare at you, but like, dude, tell me right now, are you gonna kill yourself? Because don't make me the last person you talk to before you do this, because you're saying some weird shit and you're holding eye contact. You seem very dead behind the eyes. I'm not okay with it. I'm good with Bran being king though. My bet the entire season was Tyrion. That's who I thought was going to end up on the throne. It was going to be someone who didn't want the throne. Obviously, they went with that. So that all gets taken care of. Jon Snow, we're just going to send him to the wall. Just save mankind. Grey Worm's off the fucking Narth or Nath or Nanda, wherever he was selling. He was probably going to be gone forever. We couldn't just hide Jon and be like, yeah, we sent him to the wall. And then, Jon, the coast is clear. Come on out. I got a question for you, Game of Thrones. What was the point of telling us he was a Targaryen? It didn't matter to the storyline in the slightest. We didn't do anything with that information. It was just like, cool, tuck that in your pocket. That's like when you're going on like a tour of a city and they're like, this old factory used to produce 11,000 gallons of milk per day. Like, okay, I guess that's interesting, but it didn't really contribute to the story at all. It felt very much like a Sandlot style finish where they showed every character and they're like, oh, we're doing this now. 5 years later, like it freezes on Arya and it's like, 5 years later, she became Christopher Columbus. And then she like keeps running the bases and shows Sansa catch a ball. And it's like, Sansa Stark went on to be the Lady in the North, the Queen of the North. She's doing good. And then it cuts to Bran and he's just rounding the bases on his wheelchair and he smiles and it pauses and it's like, Bran, 10 years later, still saying very vague, weird things that kind of have some rapey vibes, you know? And then it just wraps up Game of Thrones. And then Jon just goes out beyond the wall. That's it. That's all we got. You know what this feels like? It feels like we have another season of Game of Thrones. I'm hoping you guys decide to do that because the story's gotta keep going. And just for funsies, here's how I wanted it to end. This is the way they could have saved it, and I was hoping for this. Jon rides out with the wildlings like he was in the end. Also, you just hear in the distance. Drogon just lands in front of him. Everybody's terrified. They're just like, Drogon roars. Rah! That's my impression. He looks at Jon. Jon's like, doesn't know if they're about to kill him. But then Drogon's just staring at him. And then Tormund just looks at Jon and he says some epic shit like, you gotta be who you are in this world. Or like you can straight up quote Thanos at this point because Game of Thrones don't give a shit. Be like, hate it, run from it, destiny arrives. He gets off the horse. He walks up to Drogon. Drogon looks out and pissed like, man, you still fucking killed my mama. It's like your mom dies because your stepdad beat her, but you gotta go live with him. Like, you know, he actually was like teaching how to play baseball and shit. That's the way he looks at Jon, and he's just like, man, fuck you, but get on my back, bro. And Drogon just kneels down. Jon gets on Drogon's back. Camera pans to him. And he does this epic, like, I'm a fucking Targaryen. Boom. Roll the credits, baby. I still love the show so much. I still think it's an amazing show. If you have any recommendations for new shows, I need my new crack, baby. Game of Thrones was all I had. And Rick and Morty. That was a new recommendation to me lately. Loving it. Anybody seen Chernobyl? I'm interested. Tell me what you guys thought of this episode. If you like this video, give it a like. If you want to comment, comment. If you want to subscribe, go and subscribe. I tell giggles every now and then. But no matter what, at the end of the day, just know one thing. I love you.